Stories in today's video. 1. AITA for not forgiving my husband for cheating and not trusting him with our child. 2. Wife wants us to move to her hometown to be closer to her AP, relationships advice, cheating story. I, 24F, gave birth to my daughter 6 months ago and it should have been the happiest moment in my life. When my daughter was born, her skin was very dark and looked like she could have 2 biological parents who were of African descent. My husband Jim, 26 meters, fake name, was furious and accused me of cheating and left right then and there. He told everyone on both sides of the family what happened, made posts on social media and wanted a divorce. His family and a lot of our friend all called to say how upset they were at me and called me really nasty names. My mother was by my side the entire time and I kept professing my innocence. Jim refused to pick me up from the hospital, threw my stuff out on the lawn and changed the locks, so I had to stay with my parents. When my sister called to ask for the baby stuff, Jim texted me pictures of the bare nursery room and said he got rid of everything. He even destroyed my art studio. I like to paint, and the art I made, and told me my work would be too awful to sell. I was distraught and tried to focus on my baby. Weeks went by and Jim refused to speak to me directly and has never once asked about our child. Eventually he agreed to do a paternity and he was 100% the father. No one could believe the results and it was done again. Jim's the dad. Around that same time one of Jim's cousins did the ancestry thing and there was around 30% of African ancestry in the family. This combined with the test Jim's paternal great-grandmother admitted to having an affair around the time Jim's grandfather was born and was because he could *SS she just *assumed her husband was the father. Since then Jim has been reaching out and everyone has come to apologize, and while it did feel good to feel vindicated, the damage has been done. I can't unhear or unsee all the horrible things that was said and done. Not just to me but to my child as well. Jim made some very racist remarks. Things that I thought he'd never say and he did it so easily. Regardless of what our daughter looks like, I don't want her to be around that. What else will Jim and his family say or do the next time they get mad? How are they going to treat our daughter when she does something that upsets them? Jim has been begging for forgiveness. I said I needed time. He asked to see the baby and I let him, but I'm too afraid to physically hand her to him. He's repairing the nursery and keeps asking me what I would like and I cry every time saying we already had what I liked and some of the items that we had can't be replaced. He asked me if I still loved him and I admitted that he showed me his worst self and I don't know if I could live with that image. I didn't mean to be hurtful but it's how I feel. My sister suggested couples therapy but I don't feel like I should have to work to fix something that I didn't break. I've never cheated and have been 100% innocent in all of this the whole. AITA for not wanting to give Jim a second chance? Update 1. I stepped away for a few hours and couldn't believe what I came back to. I am truly amazed by all the wonderful comments of support as well as the private messages. I also understand why some people may think this is fake and all I can say is that you are free to believe what you want in this. I also see some questions and I think I should clarify a few things just in case your judgment may change. 1. All of this initially happened at the near February and I was already settled at my parents' house before the pandemic hit. 2. One of the reasons Jim wouldn't pick me up from the hospital was because I wouldn't admit to cheating or give him any details, because there weren't any, which made him angrier. 3. Based on the pictures Jim sent me, he didn't take a sledgehammer to the crib or anything. He just took stuff down to either return it for the money or gave it away. While deeply hurtful, I wouldn't call it violent, but maybe it is. 4. Online he announced that I pushed out a dark-skinned baby and was going to divorce me. His family started with the racial comments and eventually he started doing it too, but only through my family. He refused to speak to me directly. 5. Once the truth came out, everything he and his family posts were all taken down, but I, and a few friends, still have the screenshots. Jim never wrote down his racial remarks. 6. While he didn't say any of the racist words, he did make comments about our daughter being a welfare princess, and how I was going to be just another baby mama. 7. Just to clarify, Jim is white, and I am at least half white. One of my parents is adopted and with everything that's happened they decided to do the ancestry thing too and we should be getting the results any day now. Update 2. Spelling errors. Update 3. Mod denied separate post, so it's here as an edit. Thank you, sir, for all your words of encouragement a couple months back, both in posts and the DMs. A lot of things have happened since my initial post and I just needed time to process it and be in a place where I can write about on social media. So here it goes. First, my parent who was adopted did the Ancestry 23 thing and it turns out that Jim wasn't the only one who had African ancestry. My parent had at least 45%, which means I have at least 20%. I am legally separated from my husband with primary custody, and I'm living with my parents until further notice. He still keeps apologizing and wants me to come back to the house. He even offered to leave so I could stay with our daughter, but I don't want to and really like having the support of my parents. My dad is retired, so he does a lot of the babysitting while my mother and I work remotely. I do go to the house every so often so Jim can see his daughter and for couples counseling via telecom. In one of the sessions, Jim confessed something really hurtful, and some of you guessed right, he cheated. It was while we were dating, before he proposed, and his treatment towards me was a projection. It was with an ex-girlfriend who had cheated on him and he hooked up with her as an ego boost. He started to feel guilty but was too scared that I would walk away to ever confess. Jim also admitted that he was scared when I got pregnant. Our baby wasn't planned, was very anxious about being a father, but just pretended to be excited because he didn't want to look like an A. My husband was so willing to believe that our daughter wasn't his because he thought he had an out. Now that he knows that our child is his and has spent time with her, Jim regrets everything and just wants his family back and is willing to spend the rest of his life making it up to us. This was all deeply hurtful and I've cried about it more than once. Jim has been lying to me and my ability to trust him hasn't improved at all. When the holidays came around, Jim's parents asked about seeing their grandchild and I didn't want to. They told me that it was selfish of me to keep her away and I reminded them of their past. They said that they've already apologized and tried to minimize the situation. They said that I can't be angry forever and that I need to learn to forgive them. I'm so ashamed of ever loving and marrying into this family and wonder why I didn't see this before. TLDR*. This week I found out that my wife cheated on me when she went back to her hometown to visit her family and friends. We've been together for 9 years, married 5 years. We had some tension during that time which made me realize she has a lot of issues about my behavior, which I feel like was an incentive for her to be with another man. Over the past year and a half we've both been in COVID lockdown. She lost her job and was at home while I continued to work from home. When vaccinations were open to the public, she went back to her hometown to get vaccinated, so she could start to socialize after not being able to see her family for so long. I stayed back because of some immigration issues since I couldn't cross the border with her, Canada to US. May 28. Everything was going along okay. We'd use FaceTime multiple times a day to chat. Then one day she says that she needs time alone to think about some stuff, so I say sure, I won't bother you. A few days go by and not a word from her, and as her husband I wanted to make sure she's okay, so I called her and all hell broke loose. She was crying, tell me how frustrated she has been with me for years, all the pent-up issues she's had with me, big and small, during our entire relationship. Some of it was valid, some I didn't feel was totally true, but over the next few days the outcome of it was that I need to talk to a therapist to handle some issues I have. Which I accept. There are things I need to talk to a professional about. We don't have any financial, alcohol, gambling or addiction issues. Mostly anger management, communication and certain control issues that I have. It was a little rough that week, but we started talking again. Things were going back to normal. I booked a ticket for her to come back home. Meanwhile, I felt like something was weird about her. She wasn't acting the way I've known her to be. She would always say, "I love you so much," and start crying. First week of June*. Meanwhile, she mentions she's having vaginal burning, like a yeast infection with some discharge. She got tested and treatment for a yeast infection, and I joked with her to get an STD test too, just in case. She did get an STD test and it was negative, but the vaginal issue wasn't going away. June 23. So she comes back home and the following day books an online appointment with a doctor to get tested again, and when she talks to the doctor she went on to our balcony and closed the door. That was a huge red flag for me because she never, ever goes onto the balcony to talk. She did it a second time to talk to her closest friend, and I thought that's really weird. I knew something was up. Later that night I checked her phone to see if anything odd showed up in her messages or browser history. She deleted her entire browser history while she was in Arizona, another red flag. Then I find a screenshot of text messages she deleted but were still in a deleted folder, and they between her and another guy at the time she was changing flights in the Atlanta airport. She was upset with him because he didn't come to the dinner they had planned the night before she left for her hometown. I then went and checked her phone records, looking at the times she texted or called his number. And she had been in contact with him 5 days before she and I had our first serious conversation about marriage issues. I confronted her and learned that he was a long-time high school crush, and she saw him in the club one night when she went out with her friends. She kissed him in the club and went home with him that night. She saw him 3 more times after that in a public park, and planned to see him for dinner a final time before she came back to me. He didn't show up the final night, and she realized he used her. She said she felt guilty the day after her first hookup and realized she destroyed our marriage. She continued to see him because she felt like it was over between us, was lonely and need a male to give her attention and confidence. During that time she was seeing him we were still talking, and often after we would talk she'd call him. There's just a lot of emotions right now for me to deal with. She said she went home with him because she had so many frustrations with me, and when she saw an old friend from her past she fell into temptation. I was even more upset that her closest friends let her go home with another man, and over the entire time she was there they didn't tell her that what she was doing was wrong. 3 of her closest friends knew and none of them told her to stop it. She should have known better. I'm just upset with it all of them. I asked her, why did you come back to me, and not just stay there? She said she really wanted to come back and work on our marriage, that she wants to be with me, and she realized she wouldn't find another man who loves her as much as I do. I genuinely believe her. I feel like the experience she had with this man devastated her. I've been the only man she's ever been with, so I can understand a human desire to experience something else when you have the chance, but at the same time a marriage vow has to mean something. Now I feel betrayed and disgusted, but I don't know if it's worth it to go to counseling to work on this and forgive her, or if what she did is unforgivable and ending our marriage is the right option. It's hard to know what to do because there are so many things society, religion and culture tells us about marriage, but at the same time life is hard, and being an adult is really hard. Is it human to try and forgive what a loved one did, or do we have strict rules we must adhere to no matter how much a person mean to us? We don't have any children, which makes divorce a realistic option. At the same time I've invested 9 years in a relationship with her, and I feel like I can forgive her for making a terrible decision, yet it's hard to come to terms with how *tty she treated me and think that I deserve to keep her in my life. How am I supposed to know that's she being honest when she says she hates herself and wants to be with me? I've reached out to a therapist for myself and our marriage counselor for us.